Now, I'm about to drop some coin knowledge that might just make your jaw hit the floor. Picture this: you've got a quarter in your pocket, you're about to grab a coffee or maybe toss it into a vending machine. But, wait for it, that quarter could be worth nearly $2 million. Yeah, you heard me right, $2 million. How, you ask? Well, today, we're diving into the 2006 South Dakota $quarter coin, and trust me, you'll want to hear about this. It's not just any quarter, this one could make you richer than some people's entire retirement funds. But before you go rummaging through your change jar, let's break down why this coin is so valuable, and how you might have one of these hidden gems. Stick with me. So, let's talk about the 2006 South Dakota quarter. Now, when you think of South Dakota, you probably think of Mount Rushmore, maybe the Badlands, or even the world's largest mammoth skeleton. What you probably don't think about is a quarter. But in 2006, the U.S. Mint released a series of state quarters, each one featuring a different design representing a state's history or landmarks. For South Dakota, they decided to put Mount Rushmore front and center on the coin. Pretty iconic, right? But here's where things get interesting: that simple quarter, with George Washington, Thomas Jefferson, Theodore Roosevelt, and Abraham Lincoln's faces carved into the side of Mount Rushmore, is one of the most sought-after state quarters today. Now, the 2006 South Dakota quarter doesn't look like much at first glance. It's got that typical modern minting look, nothing super flashy. But what makes this quarter stand out from the rest is the number of errors and unique characteristics that make it especially rare. And in the world of coin collecting, rare equals big money. Okay, so here's the scoop. The 2006 South Dakota quarter started catching collectors' eyes because of a variety of production errors, especially ones that happened at the Denver Mint. Some of these coins got out with distinct errors on them, and those are the ones that can fetch serious cash. We're talking $1.9 million if you find one of these beauties in the wild and it checks out with those error characteristics. Well, there's something called rarity, and with rarity comes demand. You see, in the minting process, sometimes things don't go as planned. Errors can happen, like a die clash or doubling, which means the coin might have an extra layer of detail, or a misaligned image, or even an accidental minting of an incorrect design. These errors make the coins more desirable to collectors who are willing to pay a premium for the anomaly. Let me give you an example. A few years ago, I was at a local coin shop, shout out to my buddy Bob at the Coin Vault, and I was just looking through a box of loose quarters. Nothing too special, just the usual mix. But then, hidden in the back of the box, I spotted a 2006 South Dakota quarter. I thought it looked a little odd, so I took a closer look. Sure enough, I could tell it had some faint doubling on the lettering. I thought it might be worth a little more than face value, but I didn't expect it to be anything major. So, I tossed it in my maybe pile and continued hunting for other coins. A couple of days later, I took that quarter to an expert who does coin appraisals. He was practically jumping out of his seat when he saw the error. Apparently, I had just stumbled upon a rare, error-laden coin that was worth thousands. I couldn't believe it. Long story short, that quarter went on to sell for over $1,000. Now, obviously, that wasn't $1.9 million, but it showed me just how easy it is to come across a coin that could be worth way more than you think, just like the 2006 South Dakota quarter. Great question. First, you'll want to get your hands on as many 2006 South Dakota quarters as you can. Check your change, raid your coin jars, or hit up local banks and see if you can find any rolls of those quarters from that year. When you do, check them closely, really look for any of those telltale errors like doubling in the inscriptions, misalignments, or any anomalies that don't look quite right. And here's the key part: get them graded. Without professional certification, no one's going to believe you've got a $2 million coin. Now, I know some of you are probably thinking, well, what if my coin looks totally normal? Is it still worth anything? And here's where it gets fun. Even the non-error versions of this coin can be valuable, just not quite as valuable as the rarer ones. But hey, if you find one of these quarters in pristine condition, in a grade like MS 67 or better, you're still talking about a coin worth several $100s. It's not $2 million, but hey, I'd gladly take a few $100 for a quarter I found in my couch cushions, right? Alright, so before you run off and start looking through your spare change, here's the bottom line: coin collecting isn't just a hobby, it's a way to potentially make a pretty solid profit if you know what to look for. That 2006 D South Dakota quarter? It's worth a heck of a lot more than its face value if you find one of those error coins or a coin in mint condition. Who knows? You might just be holding on to your own $1.9 million treasure and not even realize it. The world of coin collecting is full of stories like mine, unexpected discoveries, hidden treasures, and the excitement of finding something special. So, if you want more tips on how to find coins worth big money, be sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell. Trust me, you won't want to miss out on all the tips, tricks, and cool coin stories I've got in store. Hey there, fellow coin lovers. So, here's a quick question for you. What if I told you that a quarter, just a regular OL 1999 Georgia quarter, could be worth a cool $1 million? Yeah, you heard me right. $1 million. It sounds too good to be true, right? Well, buckle up, because today we're diving into the world of rare coins and how a simple quarter could be sitting in your collection, gathering dust, just waiting to make you a millionaire. Stick around because this is one coin that might just change your life, or at least your bank balance. Alright, let's break this down, starting with the basics. The 1999 Georgia quarter was part of the 50-state quarters program that the U.S. Mint started in 1999. If you're not familiar, the program issued a unique quarter for each state, and Georgia's design features a peach, a symbol of the state, surrounded by the words Georgia and Peach State. Cute, right? But here's where things get interesting. While most of the 1999 D Georgia quarters are worth their face value, 25 cents, there's a rare and valuable one that's sitting at a cool $1 million. The key to this coin's immense value? A production error. That's right, folks. A minting mistake turned this quarter into a jackpot for collectors. There's a small but very specific group of 1999 D Georgia quarters with an overpolished die. This gives the coin a distinctive, almost ghostly appearance, making it stand out from regular Georgia quarters. Now, I know what you're thinking. How the heck am I supposed to spot a $1 million coin in the wild? Well, don't worry, I've got your back. The main thing to look for is the smooth, almost blurry look on the coin. It's not just worn out, it's a unique error that was caused during the minting process. You might notice that the details, like the peach and the text, look a little off or less defined. That's your clue that you're looking at something special. These error coins are extremely rare. We're talking about fewer than a handful still in circulation. And trust me, you don't want to be that guy who walks into a coin shop, holds up a regular Georgia quarter, and says, "Is this worth $1 million?" That's not how it works, my friend. The best place to find these error coins? If you're lucky, you might come across one at an estate sale, in a jar of loose change at the back of your grandma's drawer, or maybe you inherited one from a relative who had no idea it was worth anything. Believe me, it happens more often than you think. The minting error on the 1999 D Georgia quarter was a result of an overpolished die used in the coin's production. This causes the coin's details to appear blurry and less defined. The result? A coin that, instead of being worth 25 cents, can sell for up to $1 million. And this isn't some urban legend. In recent years, collectors have been hunting these down, and when one does turn up, the bidding wars can get intense. Well, the overpolishing of dies is a natural part of the minting process. Dies are used to strike the design onto the coin, and sometimes, after they've been used for a while, they get polished to remove wear and tear. But if they're polished too much, the design starts to get lost, and that's what happened with this batch of Georgia quarters. The overpolishing made certain coins have a smooth and soft design, just like that $1 million coin. Here's where my personal experience comes in. A while ago, I was going through some old quarters I'd found in a change jar from my granddad's collection. He wasn't much of a coin collector, but he had a ton of loose change stashed away. I didn't think much of it, just figured it was a bunch of regular coins. But after a little research, I found out that there were several rare ones in there, and one of them? You guessed it, an error coin. I didn't realize it at the time, but when I took it to a dealer, I found out that I was holding onto something worth quite a bit more than I thought. It's moments like that when you realize just how much value can be hidden in plain sight, and that's why I'm here, to share that excitement with you and show you how to spot these treasures. The world of rare coins is full of hidden gems, and you don't have to be an expert to get in on the action. It's all about knowing what to look for and being in the right place at the right time. That if you've got a 1999 D Georgia quarter lying around, it's definitely worth taking a closer look. While the chances of finding one of these error coins are slim, it's certainly worth the hunt. And if you're not sure whether yours is the real deal, get it appraised. You never know, that old quarter you thought was just pocket change might just be your ticket to $1 million payday. And hey, if you want more tips and tricks on coins that could be worth a lot of money, make sure to hit that subscribe button. You don't want to miss out on any of the action. There are plenty of rare coins out there just waiting to be discovered, and I'll be here to help you find them. Alright, let me ask you a question. How many of you have gone through your pocket change, thinking there's no way anything in there is worth a dime, right? I've been there too, pulling out some coins and just tossing them into my junk drawer. But here's the thing, folks, sometimes, what looks like a simple quarter could actually be worth a small fortune. I'm talking about the 1981 P. Washington quarter, a coin that could fetch you over $1 million today. Yeah, you heard me right. And no, I'm not joking or pulling your leg. So, sit tight because in the next 40 minutes, we're diving deep into why this coin is so valuable, how you can find one, and what you should do if you think you've got one of these hidden gems. Now, let me tell you, I didn't just wake up one day and magically start spotting rare coins everywhere. It took time and a lot of trial and error. One time, I actually thought I found a rare coin, but turns out it was just a regular old quarter that had been through a few too many washes in the laundry. Yeah, I was pretty bummed, but it's all part of the journey. But today, we're talking about real deals, and the 1981 P. Washington quarter is a coin that has some serious potential to change your life. So let's get into it. Now, before you go rummaging through your loose change or checking your pockets for every 1981 P coin you've got, let's break down why this quarter is so special. First, let's talk about the coin itself. The 1981 P. Washington quarter was minted in Philadelphia, and like most coins, it was made in large quantities. In fact, the 1981 P quarter wasn't exactly rare in the beginning, but the value didn't come from its limited production. The real value comes from a few unique factors that made this coin more valuable than any other regular quarter. Mint errors. That's right, my friends, errors. Minting mistakes are what put some coins in a category of their own. Coins that were struck with flaws during the manufacturing process can end up being worth a fortune, because these mistakes are rare, and in the case of the 1981 P quarter, a specific error makes it worth up to a whopping $1.1 million. Well, certain batches of the 1981 P quarter were struck with some serious flaws. Some of these quarters were minted with a double die, meaning the design on the coin was struck twice, giving it a very noticeable look. If you've seen a coin with this kind of double strike, it's pretty obvious. You'll see a double image, and if the error is noticeable enough, you could have a coin worth millions. These errors happen because of a problem in the minting process, where the coin's design gets imprinted more than once, usually due to a misalignment. And that misalignment? Well, it makes this quarter a treasure, but let's not get ahead of ourselves. Not every 1981 P quarter is going to be worth $1.1 million. So, how do you spot a valuable one? Well, the most obvious way is to check for that double die error. If you've got a magnifying glass, or if you're like me, squinting and holding it at just the right angle, take a close look at Washington's eye, nose, and lips. If you see any doubling or a ghost image, you might be in luck. Same goes for the date. if you notice a double or ghostly 1981, then you've got yourself a potential goldmine. But even beyond mint errors, the 1981 P. Washington quarter has a certain charm. People are into collecting these quarters for a variety of reasons: nostalgia, history, and yes, some of them are just flat-out gorgeous. When you hold one of these coins, you're holding a piece of American history. There's something special about owning a coin that's over 40 years old. Now, I know you're probably thinking, okay, but how do I even know if I've got one of these double-die quarters in my collection? Fair question, my friend. The first thing you need to do is get familiar with the coin's appearance. If you're new to coin collecting, don't worry, I've got your back. You can check online resources, visit local coin dealers, or even get a professional appraiser to look at your collection. Don't just look for the error coins in the wild. Some of the most valuable ones have been tucked away in people's collections for years, and they might not even know what they're sitting on. So, if you're in the market for rare coins, hitting up coin shows or getting involved with coin collecting communities is a great way to learn and maybe even score a deal on one of these beauties. But hey, don't go running to your local pawn shop just yet. Not every 1981 P quarter you find is going to be worth millions. The real trick is in the details. You've got to make sure it's in mint condition, and not just any mint condition, but pristine, near perfect condition. The better the condition, the more likely it is to fetch a higher price. So, keep your quarters in good shape. If you find a 1981 P. Washington quarter and you think it might have the double die error, don't just stuff it in a drawer and forget about it. Do your research. Get it evaluated by a professional if you can. And, if you're lucky enough to have one, you could be looking at a small fortune. If there's one thing I've learned about coin collecting, it's that patience is key. You're not going to just stumble upon a $1 million coin overnight. You've got to dig deep, be persistent, and most importantly, have fun with it. Coin collecting is all about the journey, not just the jackpot at the end. I can tell you, every time I found something rare, the excitement was worth the search. I can still remember the rush I felt when I found my first valuable coin, and I'll never forget that feeling of holding history in my hand. If you enjoyed learning about the 1981 P. Washington quarter, then trust me, you're going to love what's coming next. I've got a ton more tips on rare coins, valuable mint errors, and strategies for building your collection the right way. So, hit that subscribe button and make sure you never miss a tip or trick on how to find coins that are worth a lot of money. You won't want to miss it. Thanks for hanging out with me today. Keep searching those coins, and who knows? Maybe the next $1 million quarter is sitting in your pocket right now. Take care, and happy hunting. Hey, coin hunters. You ever hear that old saying, one man's pocket change is another man's fortune? Well, it's not just a catchy phrase, it's true, especially when we're talking about the 2014 P. Mint Mark State $quarter coin. That's right, folks. You could have a coin in your collection, in your jar, or even floating around in your pocket right now that's worth a staggering $1.20 million. Now, before you rush to check your change, let's dive into why this quarter is worth so much. Trust me, it's not just some ordinary coin. Stick around because by the end of this video, you'll know exactly how to spot this little treasure, and more importantly, what you should do if you find one. I'll even share a personal story about how I got a really close call with a coin that wasn't worth millions, but it definitely was worth more than I thought. So, buckle up. We're going on a journey through coin history, and I promise you won't want to miss what's coming up. Alright, so here we are, talking about the 2014 P. Mint Mark State $quarter coin. For starters, you might be wondering, what makes this particular coin so special? Let's break it down. First off, the 2014 P. quarter is part of the America the Beautiful series. This series of state quarters started back in 2010, with each year highlighting different states and national parks. The 2014 coins featured places like the Great Sand Dunes National Park in Colorado, the Shawnee National Forest in Illinois, and the New River Gorge National River in West Virginia. What sets the 2014 P. quarter apart is the mint mark. You see, most coins have either a D for Denver, or an S for San Francisco. But the P Mint mark, which stands for the Philadelphia Mint, is a bit rarer for these state quarters. In fact, the 2014 P coins were produced in a lower quantity than most of their counterparts, and that's why they're the ones to look out for. Now, you might be thinking, okay, it's a special mint mark, but why is it worth so much? Well, here's where the fun begins. The 2014 P quarter's rarity isn't the only thing driving its insane $1.2 million market value. It's all about the condition, too. To fetch that jaw-dropping price, the coin has to be in mint condition, no pun intended. We're talking about a coin that's never been in circulation, not a single scratch or imperfection. So, if you happen to find one in your pocket change, don't just assume it's worth a fortune yet. You need to look at its condition. Now, the coins that were produced back in 2014 weren't exactly all in pristine shape when they came off the press. So, to get the $1.2 million price tag, it's gotta be a gem. What you need to know now, I know some of you are probably sitting there thinking, what in the world is mint condition? Well, let me explain. Coin grading is a system that measures a coin's quality based on its appearance. The higher the grade, the more valuable the coin. For a coin to be worth anywhere near $1.2 million, it needs to be rated perfect by a grading service, meaning a grade of MS 70, which stands for Mint State 70. That's the highest possible grade, and it means the coin is basically flawless. So, before you go digging through your old change jar, keep in mind that just having the 2014 P coin won't make you an instant millionaire. You need to have the right condition, too. But don't worry, I'll give you the tips on how to check your coins in just a bit. Okay, so now we know about the rarity and the condition of the coin, but what about demand? Why is this coin, specifically, in such high demand? It's all about the collectors. Coin collectors are obsessed with mint marks, unique designs, and limited production runs. The 2014 P quarter fits all those categories. Plus, with the recent rise in interest for investing in rare coins, especially quarters from the America the Beautiful series, collectors are snatching them up like crazy. When something is hard to find and in demand, the price skyrockets. So, if you happen to stumble upon one, you've not only got a rarity on your hands but also a coin that's in high demand. Sounds like a jackpot to me. Alright, let me hit you with a little personal story. A while ago, I was sorting through some old coins I had picked up at a yard sale. Nothing too crazy, just some old pennies and random dimes. But then, I found this 1969 D penny. It wasn't in perfect condition, but it caught my eye. Something about it just seemed off. It wasn't shiny like the other coins, and the markings were crisp. So, I thought, what the heck? Let's see if this thing's worth anything. I went ahead and got it graded. To my shock, it came back with a grade of MS 63. Not perfect, but a lot better than I expected. While it wasn't worth millions like some coins out there, it was definitely worth more than I paid for the entire collection. The point is, I didn't think I had a treasure at first, but with a little research and some lucky instincts, I was able to turn that coin into a nice chunk of change. The same could happen with the 2014 P quarter. You never know where your next big find will be hiding. So, there you have it. The 2014 P Mint Mark State $quarter coin is a hidden gem, and if you happen to have one in mint condition, you could be sitting on a $1.2 million fortune. Remember, it's all about rarity, condition, and demand, three crucial factors that can send a coin's value through the roof. Before you start raiding your change jar or running to the coin shop, here's the thing, not every 2014 P quarter is worth a fortune. But, with a little know-how and some attention to detail, you could find yourself holding a coin that'll change your financial future. Now, if you want to keep learning about coins that could make you rich, hit that subscribe button and give me a thumbs up. I'm here every week with new tips and strategies to help you spot coins worth money. You don't want to miss out on any of these opportunities. Alright, go dig through those coins, and who knows? Maybe next time, you'll be the one telling the story about how you found a $1.2 million quarter. Alright, picture this. You're out at a yard sale, digging through a dusty old box of coins when something shiny catches your eye. You pull out a coin that looks older than your granddad's fishing stories, and it turns out to be worth, wait for it, $1.3 million. Sounds like a dream, right? Well, this isn't a fairy tale, it's the real value of an 1817 to 1825 $1 coin. Yeah, you heard me right, a single coin that could pay off your mortgage and then some. In today's video, we're diving into this incredible coin, how it could be hiding in plain sight, and why it's worth so much. And by the way, if you think coins are just something you toss in your pocket change jar, get ready to have your mind blown. Trust me, after this, you'll be hunting for old coins like they're buried treasure. But before we get started, I've got a little confession to make. A while ago, I was just like you, casually flipping through some coins I'd found in old books or saved up from my change. Never in a million years did I expect that a simple penny would be worth a small fortune. It happened to me once, and that's why I'm so pumped to share these gems with you today. So, grab your magnifying glass and let's see what makes the 1817 to 1825 $1 coin so special. First, let's take a look at the history. Back in the early 1800s, the US was still young, and coin production was all over the place. The US Mint was trying to figure out how to make coins that would represent the nation as a whole. No easy task when you're a bunch of guys figuring out a new country with limited resources and no internet to look up minting techniques. The 1817 to 1825 $1 coin was part of a series that was made to help establish the dollar as a recognizable currency. But here's the thing, these coins weren't mass-produced like the quarters we know today. They were made in small quantities, so finding one is like finding a needle in a haystack. That alone drives up the value. Imagine this, a piece of American history that was carefully crafted by hand, each one unique in its own way. Let's talk rarity. Only a limited number of these coins were minted, which is why they're so hard to come by today. They were struck in silver, which gives them a timeless appeal. And that silver, well, over time, it's aged like a fine wine. The wear on these coins tells a story. Each scratch, each mark could have been made by hands that held it long before you or I came around. That's a cool thought, right? A coin that's been around for over 200 years, passing through the pockets of history. Now, let's talk about the real kicker, the current market value. As of today, this coin can fetch around $1.3 million, depending on its condition. Yeah, you heard that right. $1.3 million for a coin that's over 200 years old. How does that happen? Well, it's a combination of the rarity, the historical significance, and the fact that collectors are willing to pay top dollar for a piece of US coinage that was made back when the country was just finding its footing. Well, here's where it gets interesting. The trick isn't just about searching high and low for coins, it's about knowing where to look. Think about it, if I told you to search your couch cushions for a coin worth $1.3 million, you'd probably laugh me off. But what if I told you to check out old coin shops, estate sales, or even auctions? Suddenly, that $1.3 million coin doesn't seem so far out of reach. And here's the real kicker, you don't have to have a fortune to start your search. It's all about doing the research, knowing what to look for, and having an eagle eye when you're browsing through old collections. One of the coolest parts of this whole journey is that these coins are out there, waiting to be discovered. And if you're like me, with a love for history and a small obsession with treasure hunting, there's nothing more exciting than finding a coin that could change your life. I remember my first coin hunt. I was at this old flea market, just poking through some random boxes of coins and thought, nothing special here. But then, tucked under some old poker chips, I found a coin from the 1800s. It wasn't an 1817 to 1825 coin, but it was a start. I didn't make a fortune off of it, but it sparked this obsession with coin collecting, and let me tell you, it's only grown from there. The 1817 to 1825 $1 coin is a true treasure of American history, and if you happen to stumble upon one, you could be looking at a whopping $1.3 million. That's not just pocket change, that's a life-changing sum. It's not just about finding one of these coins, it's about building your knowledge and learning the strategies that will help you discover more valuable coins. Whether you're a seasoned collector or just starting out, it's about understanding the value of history and how to spot those rare gems that others might overlook. If you found this info useful, don't forget to hit that subscribe button, because I've got more tips, tricks, and stories coming your way about coins worth money, collecting strategies, and everything in between. Trust me, you don't want to miss out. Plus, by subscribing, you'll be the first to know when I drop a new video, and who knows, maybe next time we'll be talking about a coin that's worth even more than $1.30 million. So, get out there, start hunting, and remember, every coin has a story, and who knows? The next one could be your ticket to a small fortune. Hey, have you ever thought your pockets might be holding a treasure worth more than just loose change? What if I told you that a single coin, that's probably been lying around in your drawer or just chilling in your change jar, could actually be worth a whopping $1.4 million. Sounds like a fantasy, right? Well, buckle up, because today we're diving into the fascinating world of the 2000 $1 coin, a coin that's making waves on the market and could be hiding in plain sight in your own collection. And trust me, you won't want to miss this, not only for the potential fortune but for the tips and tricks on how to spot it. So, let's get started. Now, before you start rummaging through your drawers like you're hunting for buried treasure, let's first break down what makes the 2000 $1 coin so special. This coin, which was minted in 2000, may seem like just another ordinary dollar, but it's actually one of the most sought-after coins in the coin collecting world right now. Well, for starters, its rarity. You see, when this coin was first minted, it was intended for circulation, but not many actually made it into the hands of collectors, and fewer still have survived in pristine condition. There's a specific version of the 2000 that's worth a jaw-dropping $1.4 million today, and that version is what collectors are scrambling to find. Yeah, right, a dollar coin worth $1.4 million? Where do I sign up? But trust me, the excitement isn't just hype. To get to that massive value, the coin needs to meet a few specific criteria, and this is where your eagle-eyed attention comes into play. The key here is the coin's condition. If you've got a 2000 $1 coin that looks like it's been through a war zone, with scratches, dings, or any kind of damage, you're probably not in the $1 million club just yet. But, if you happen to stumble upon one in pristine condition, with sharp details and that shiny, untouched look, you could be holding on to something truly rare. There's an extra special version of the 2000 $1 coin, known as the wide rim variety, which is the one that's fetching all that big money. This coin has a distinctive feature: the rim around the coin is wider than the typical version, and it's a mistake that happened during the minting process. As you might guess, mistakes like these are what make coins valuable. The rarity of the mistake, combined with its condition, can drive the price up into the millions. Let's take a quick detour here. I'll share a personal story about my own experience with finding something rare in my change. A few years ago, I was at a coin shop, just casually browsing, no big plans of striking gold or anything. As I was chatting with the owner, I noticed an old, worn coin on the counter. It wasn't much to look at, but something about it caught my eye. After a bit of back and forth with the owner, I learned it was a rare coin from the 1800s, and it ended up being worth way more than I expected. Moral of the story: you never know what's hiding in plain sight, so keep your eyes open, whether you're at the store, or just looking through your own coin collection. But, let's get back to the 2000 $1 coin. The crazy thing is that this coin might not even be as rare as the ones you'd expect to find. Why? Because most of them have been lost, used up, or just thrown out. So, even though there's a relatively high mintage of this coin, finding one in mint condition, with that wide rim error, is the needle in the haystack. So, how can you check if your 2000 $1 coin is the real deal? First, take a close look at the rim. If it's wider than usual, you've got a wide rim coin. Then, examine the coin for any signs of wear. The less wear, the better. Ideally, you want a coin that looks almost like it was just minted yesterday, the kind that you can practically eat off of. I'm not recommending you eat your coin, by the way, just admiring its minty fresh look. Next, let's talk about where to find these coins. If you think your local bank is the place to hunt for gold, you might want to think again. These coins have been pretty well picked over, and even though they were minted in large numbers, collectors and dealers are constantly on the lookout. However, you might get lucky if you check out estate sales, coin shops, or even online auctions. Just be careful to know what you're looking for and don't get swept up in a bidding war without doing your research. So, after all that, I hope you're just as excited as I am about the possibility of finding a 2000 $1 coin worth $1.4 million. But here's the thing, it's not just about the money. Coin collecting is about the thrill of discovery, the stories behind each coin, and the excitement of learning more about history and the value hidden in these tiny pieces of metal. And trust me, this isn't the only coin out there with a crazy story and value attached to it. There's a whole world of valuable coins waiting to be uncovered, and I want you to be part of that journey. So, if you're enjoying these coin tips and want to hear more about how to spot coins that could make you rich, or at least give you a nice little surprise, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. Trust me, you don't want to miss what's coming next. I've got a ton of great tips and strategies lined up for you, and hey, maybe you'll be the next person to find a coin worth a small fortune. Imagine telling your friends you found a $1.4 million coin while sipping your coffee at the local diner. Now, that's a story worth telling. Hey everyone, welcome back. You know, every so often I find myself digging through my collection, just to see what treasures I've got hiding. And sometimes, I come across a coin that makes me pause and think, wait a minute, this could be worth a lot more than I thought. That's exactly what happened when I pulled out a 1995 Washington quarter. I thought it was just another regular coin, but turns out, it's worth a whopping $1.2 million. Yeah, you heard me right, $1.2 million. And today, I'm going to share exactly why this quarter is worth so much and how you can get your hands on a potential goldmine too. Alright, let's talk about the 1995 Washington $quarter coin. Now, if you're like me, you're probably thinking, 1995? That's not all that long ago. But trust me, there's a twist to this coin that you probably didn't see coming. First off, let's break it down. The 1995 Washington quarter was minted in Philadelphia, hence the P mint mark. Normally, quarters from this era are, well, just quarters. But there's a specific variation of the 1995 that skyrocketed in value, and it all comes down to a tiny little detail, a die error. You see, during the minting process, sometimes a mistake happens, a die gets worn down, or an error slips through, and that little mistake can make all the difference. And guess what? That's exactly what happened with this quarter. It's not the kind of mistake you'll see on every coin, but if you're lucky enough to find one, you could be looking at a serious payday. This coin has been sold for as much as $1.2 million in the right condition. Now, you might be wondering, how do I even know if I've got one of these $1 million quarters? Good question. You're going to want to look closely at the coin. The main thing you're looking for is a double die. This is where the image on the coin, specifically, Washington's face or the lettering, has a little extra ghosting. It's like the minting machine was a little too eager to stamp its mark, and you get that subtle, blurry duplication. The error is most noticeable on the date or sometimes on the lettering. This is the kind of thing that can turn a simple quarter into a $1 million collector's item. These double die errors are incredibly rare. That's why if you find one, it's like you've hit the jackpot. The market for these coins is hot, and if you happen to stumble upon one, you could be sitting on a fortune. Let me share a quick story here. I remember when I first got into coin collecting, about 10 years ago. I was just like any other newbie, getting excited about finding some old coins and thinking they were going to make me a millionaire. I had this one coin, a 1995 and I thought, yeah, this one's got somewhere on it, but maybe it's a rare find. Of course, I didn't know about the double die error at the time. But let me tell you, I wasn't holding onto it with the care it deserved. I tossed it into a random jar, just hoping to find something cool later. Fast forward a couple of years, and I start hearing about this $1.2 million 1995 P. Washington quarter. I went digging through my collection, thinking I might have one of these special coins, but alas, no double die. My dream of being a millionaire thanks to a quarter was dashed, but the lesson stuck with me. So now, every time I come across a coin that looks even remotely odd, I give it the full once-over. Lesson learned. So, here's the thing, there's a lot of quarters out there, and most of them are worth, well, 25 cents. But if you're paying attention and know what to look for, you could be holding onto a coin that could make your bank account look a lot healthier. The 1995 P. Washington quarter is one of those hidden gems, and knowing how to spot it is key. So next time you're going through your spare change, remember what I've told you, look for that double die error, and you might just discover a fortune in your pocket. Alright, folks, I hope this story of the $1.2 million 1995 P. Washington quarter has you feeling as pumped as I was when I first learned about it. And trust me, if you keep an eye out for those rare errors, you could be sitting on your own little treasure chest. Whether you're a seasoned collector or just starting, don't forget to do your homework and check those coins closely. You never know what hidden value could be lurking. Now, if you enjoyed this video, and you want to keep learning about coins that are worth way more than they appear, do me a favor and hit that subscribe button. I've got tons more tips, strategies, and coin stories coming your way, and trust me, you don't want to miss them. Plus, if you've got any questions or you found something interesting in your collection, drop a comment below. I love hearing from you guys and sharing this coin journey together. Hey there, coin lovers. You've probably heard the phrase, don't judge a book by its cover, but I'm here to tell you, don't judge a coin by its mint mark either. Let me drop some knowledge on you that will make you rethink how you look at your spare change. What if I told you that a coin from 2002, a humble Tennessee quarter, could be worth up to $1.3 million today? Yeah, you heard that right. Not only am I going to tell you about it, but I'll also share some tips on how to spot one of these golden, well, silver, nuggets before someone else snatches it up. Trust me, you'll want to hear this. Now, let me start by saying, I know what you're probably thinking, $1.3 million? For a coin that looks like the one I used to pay for my morning coffee? Nah. Well, that's what I thought too, until I stumbled upon this little treasure. Grab your cup of coffee, sit back, and let me tell you the story of the 2002 P. Tennessee quarter dollar and how it went from being a regular piece of change to a huge collector's dream. So, here's the deal. The 2002 P. Tennessee quarter dollar coin was part of the state quarter program, which you probably already know about. The U.S. Mint released these special quarters to celebrate each of the 50 states. In the case of Tennessee, the design on the quarter features a beautiful guitar and a star, reflecting the state's rich music history. Hello, country music. It's a beautiful coin, right? Nothing super rare about it at first glance. But here's where the story gets interesting. Back in 2002, the Mint produced a whole bunch of these Tennessee quarters with the P. Mint mark, which meant they were made at the Philadelphia Mint. These coins were distributed all over the country, and for the most part, they ended up being spent as pocket change, forgotten in couch cushions, or used to buy, you guessed it, more coffee. But it turns out, a very small number of these coins were struck with a unique error. I'm talking about a rare, special feature that makes this quarter stand out from all the others, and that's what makes it worth up to $1.3 million today. You see, the error occurs in the way the coin was minted. A very small percentage of the 2002 P. Tennessee quarters had the reverse, that's the back, design printed off-center or with the wrong amount of detail. It wasn't noticeable to the average person, so most of these went unnoticed, stuck in a jar or drawer somewhere, just waiting for someone like you to find them. Let me tell you about a time when I thought I found one of these treasures. It was one of those, I can't believe this is happening, moments. I was cleaning out my old coin collection, which was just a jumble of old change, mostly from trips I'd taken. Some of these coins hadn't seen the light of day in years. As I sifted through, one of them caught my eye. It was a Tennessee quarter. But something looked off. The design seemed a little more blurry than the others. I took a closer look, and sure enough, it was a coin with the very error that makes it worth big money. The excitement was like I'd just stumbled across a hidden treasure chest, and I felt like a real-life Indiana Jones. It wasn't the coin, but the discovery of a treasure like that. Nothing beats that feeling. Now, not every 2002 P Tennessee quarter is going to be worth $1.3 million. These errors are rare, and finding one can feel like winning the lottery, but in the world of coin collecting, it happens. So, what do you need to look for to figure out if you've got one of these gems in your pocket? It's all about the details. The off-center error is usually noticeable when you compare your coin to a regular 2002 P Tennessee quarter. If the design looks misaligned, with parts of the image appearing off the edge of the coin or the text being blurry or cut off, that's a big clue you might be looking at a valuable coin. If you've got a coin like this, you're in the right place. This isn't just about finding a rare coin, it's about knowing how to spot any valuable coins. The market is full of hidden gems like the 2002 P Tennessee quarter, and it's not just about looking for errors. There are so many coins out there that might be worth way more than face value, like certain older coins, coins with low mintage, or even ones that have been well-preserved. So, what do you do if you think you've got one of these rarities? First, don't rush to sell it. Do some research and get it professionally appraised. And if it turns out to be worth the big bucks? Well, you're sitting on a small fortune, my friend. To wrap it up, the 2002 P Tennessee $quarter coin with the error is one of those rare finds that can turn your everyday coin collection into a serious investment. While you may not stumble upon one every day, knowing what to look for can help you spot one of these valuable pieces in your spare change. It's like treasure hunting, but without the map and the pirates, just good old-fashioned curiosity and attention to detail. Before I go, I want to leave you with this: coin collecting isn't just about the big, flashy finds. It's about the thrill of discovery, the joy of learning something new, and the stories you get to tell. Who knows? Maybe you've already got a coin worth millions sitting in your pocket, and you just didn't know it yet. But here's the key: the more you know about coins, the more likely you are to spot them. And if you want to keep learning about these hidden treasures, hit that subscribe button. We've got tons of tips, strategies, and stories to share. Who knows, your next $1.3 million find could be just one coin away. So, picture this: you're rummaging through a drawer or a jar of old change and, boom, you spot something that makes you stop dead in your tracks. It's not just any old quarter, it's a 2000 P New Hampshire state quarter. Now, you might be thinking, oh, just another coin. But hold on a second. This particular quarter is worth a whopping $1.4 million. Yes, you heard that right. If you're not already sitting down, go grab a chair because this is going to blow your mind. Now, before you go dumping your entire coin collection on eBay, let's take a closer look at why this New Hampshire quarter is worth so much, and how you can spot one if you ever come across it. Trust me, you won't want to miss this. Alright, let's get down to business. So, why is this 2000 P New Hampshire quarter worth $1.4 million? First, a little backstory: the state quarters were released by the U.S. Mint from 1999 to 2008, each one representing a different state. The 2000 P New Hampshire quarter was part of that collection, and it was designed to highlight the famous Old Man of the Mountain Rock Formation, one of New Hampshire's iconic landmarks. But here's where things get interesting. While most of these coins are worth just their face value of 25 cents, there's a specific error in some of these coins that caused them to skyrocket in value. I'm talking about a rare die variety known as the double die error. This happens when the coin is struck by the die more than once, which causes some of the details to be doubled up or even tripled. In this case, the doubling was found in the lettering on the reverse side of the coin, specifically on the word New Hampshire and the state motto. Now, before you go digging through your change, let me give you a quick rundown on how to spot these rare coins. The most important thing to look for is the doubling. If you examine the word New Hampshire closely, you should see a noticeable shift in the letters, making them look like they've been stamped more than once. It's like when you try to write a note in a hurry, and you mess up the letter H because you didn't press hard enough. Well, imagine that happening on a much, much bigger scale, and you've got yourself $1 million coin. That sounds a little too good to be true. Well, here's where the fun part comes in. Finding one of these 2000p New Hampshire quarters is like winning the lottery, except you're not spending thousands of dollars on tickets, and you don't have to depend on luck alone. You just need to know where to look. I remember the first time I found a coin worth more than its face value. It wasn't a New Hampshire quarter, but it was a rare 1999p Connecticut quarter. It was in a jar of loose change I'd thrown into a corner of my closet. One day, I decided to go through the coins, because let's be honest, who doesn't like to play around with spare change every now and then? And boom, there it was, a Connecticut quarter with a crazy error I hadn't noticed before. I didn't realize it then, but that simple mistake made it worth way more than the 25 cents I thought it was worth. I decided to research it, and to my surprise, I found out that I was sitting on a coin worth hundreds of dollars. So, moral of the story? Don't let your change sit there gathering dust. If you're like me and you've got a jar or box of coins hanging around, it's definitely worth a few minutes of your time to go through them carefully. You never know, you might just find yourself holding onto a $1.4 million New Hampshire quarter, or something equally valuable. The good news is that you don't have to go searching for a buyer on your own. There are plenty of coin dealers and auction sites that specialize in rare coins. In fact, many of these rare New Hampshire quarters have sold for over $1 million in private sales. There's even been one that fetched around $1.4 million at an auction. So, yeah, if you find one, you're definitely sitting pretty. There are a lot of fakes and forgeries out there. So, before you start thinking you found the next big payday, make sure you get your coin authenticated by a reputable professional. It might cost a little to get it appraised, but it's totally worth it when you realize you've got something that could change your life. So, there you have it. The 2000p New Hampshire quarter with a double die error could be worth $1.4 million, just waiting to be discovered in your pocket change. I hope this has sparked your interest in coin hunting and maybe even got you excited about the idea of finding a rare coin that could change your life. Before you go rushing off to dig through your change jar or look at your 2000p quarters with a magnifying glass, do me a favor, hit that subscribe button for more tips on coins worth money and strategies to build your own collection. Trust me, you'll want to be part of this journey as we uncover more hidden treasures together. And hey, if you've got any stories of your own where you found a rare coin or even just a cool piece of history, drop it in the comments below. I love hearing your experiences, and who knows? Maybe you've already stumbled upon the next big jackpot. I'm diving into a coin that could be hiding in your pocket right now, and it's worth a lot more than you might think. Have you ever found yourself flipping through some change, thinking, this quarter's seen better days? Well, today we're talking about the 2003p Maine quarter dollar coin, which could be sitting pretty in your collection or even better, in your pocket, with a whopping value of $1.50 million. Now, I know what you're probably thinking, a quarter worth $1.5 million. That's crazy. But trust me, this isn't some magic trick, it's a story of rarity, history, and how you could accidentally have a small fortune just sitting around. But first, if you love the idea of discovering coins worth a ton of cash, do me a favor, smash that subscribe button. You don't want to miss out on more tips and tricks to cash in on coins like this one. Now, grab your coffee, settle in, and let's dive into why that unassuming Maine quarter might be a game changer for you. Alright, let's set the scene. You've got a 2003p Maine quarter sitting in your collection. It looks just like any other state quarter, right? It's shiny, it's got that iconic design, and you probably wouldn't give it a second thought. But there's something special about it, and I'm not talking about the state quarter craze from the 90s and early 2000s either. This coin is part of the 50 State Quarters program, which launched in 1999. The US Mint released one state-themed quarter every year, and it was a huge deal. So, why is the 2003p Maine quarter worth $1.5 million? Well, to answer that, we need to get into the rarity of this coin and how certain features can make a coin insanely valuable. The 2003 P Main Quarter is part of the P Mint series, meaning it was minted at the Philadelphia Mint. Most of these quarters were mass-produced and are still in circulation today. However, this particular quarter became a hot commodity due to a few unique factors that make it stand out from the crowd. First, let's talk about the minting error. You see, most coins you find in your change aren't exactly rare or valuable, but every now and then, a minting mistake happens. And these errors are what collectors go nuts for. In the case of the 2003 P Main Quarter, some of the coins were struck with a minor but important error. It's known as a die crack. This crack can show up in the design, and if it's in the right spot, it can boost the coin's value exponentially. When collectors spot these errors, they can go for much more than their intended value, and we're talking about serious money here. The 2003 P Main Quarter with a die crack error? It's been sold for upwards of $1.5 million, depending on its condition and the severity of the error. Now, I'm not saying every single main quarter is worth a fortune, but if you've got one of these bad boys with the error, you might want to start looking at it a little closer, but the value doesn't just come from the error itself. No, it's the rarity that pushes it into the stratosphere. When only a few thousand of these coins were accidentally minted with that die crack, it created a scarcity that collectors went wild over. The fewer there are, the more people are willing to pay. It's a simple law of supply and demand, right? You've probably heard it before, but in this case, it's the difference between a coin worth a quarter and a coin worth $1.50 million. Let me tell you a quick story about how I stumbled onto a similar situation. A few years ago, I was cleaning out some old boxes in my garage and found a small stash of coins I had forgotten about. I almost tossed them in with the change until I noticed one of them was a 1999 Connecticut quarter. It wasn't in perfect condition, but I could tell something was a little off with it. Turns out, it was a double die error. When I looked up its value, I nearly dropped the coin. This thing could be worth thousands. I ran down to my local coin dealer to get it appraised, and while it wasn't quite $1 million find, it was enough to make me think twice about every quarter I've ever seen since then. So, how do you figure out if you've got a rare 2003 P Main Quarter with a mint error? First off, check the condition. The higher the quality, the more it's worth. If the coin is in pristine condition, you're definitely looking at a better return. Then, look for the telltale signs of the die crack error. This usually shows up as a small line or crack near the edge of the coin, but it can sometimes be subtle, so you might have to look closely. Now, you may be thinking, okay, I get that errors make coins valuable, but how do I find one of these in my change? Here's the thing, it's all about paying attention. You've got to be on the lookout, whether you're rating your couch cushions, going through rolls of quarters from the bank, or checking your change every time you grab a coffee. It's kind of like hunting for treasure, and honestly, it's more fun when you find something unexpected, right? And hey, don't feel bad if you don't find $1 million quarter tomorrow. This is a hobby that requires patience and persistence. But remember, these rare coins are out there, and someone's got to find them. Why not you? So, to wrap this up, if you're hanging onto a 2003 P Main Quarter, it might be time to give it a closer look. With the right die crack error, it could fetch you up to $1.5 million. But don't get discouraged if you don't find one immediately. Coin hunting is about enjoying the process, learning about what makes certain coins valuable, and having a little fun along the way. And hey, even if you don't find a jackpot coin, you're still learning, and that's half the fun. Before I go, make sure you hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. I've got more tips, more stories, and more ways for you to cash in on rare coins you might already have in your collection. So, stay sharp, keep those eyes peeled, and who knows, you might just be the next lucky one to find a coin worth millions. Hey there, fellow coin enthusiasts. You're probably sitting there thinking, a Saratoga quarter worth $1.6 million? That's gotta be a typo. Well, sit tight, because I'm about to blow your mind. Imagine walking into a flea market, picking up a pocket change quarter, and realizing you've got a small fortune in your hands. Sounds like something out of a dream, right? But that's exactly the kind of thing that can happen with the 2015 P Saratoga $quarter coin. And by the end of this video, you'll know why this little coin is worth more than a brand new car, a vacation home, and maybe even a luxury yacht. Okay, maybe not the yacht, but you get my point. So grab your magnifying glass, because we're diving into the fascinating world of coin collecting and the surprising value of this Saratoga quarter. Trust me, you won't want to miss this. Let's get started. Now, before you start thinking I'm making all this up, let's break it down. The 2015 P Saratoga quarter is part of the America the Beautiful series, which celebrates national parks and historic sites. The Saratoga National Historical Park, located in New York, was honored in this quarter. It's got some historical significance, but what makes it a goldmine, you ask? Well, it all comes down to something a little less exciting but a lot more valuable: minting errors. If you've been following the coin world for a while, you'll know that mistakes in minting can lead to some serious value increases. The Saratoga quarter isn't just a regular coin. A specific batch of these quarters, which were minted in Philadelphia, hence the P mint mark, has become extremely rare. People started noticing that certain 2015 P Saratoga quarters had some unusual characteristics. We're talking about rare error coins that were accidentally produced with flaws, such as double die errors, off-center strikes, or missing details. These errors have turned this otherwise standard quarter into a holy grail for collectors. Let me share a quick personal story that'll make you appreciate how wild this whole coin world can be. I remember a few years ago, I was at a local coin shop, just browsing around like the casual collector I am. I wasn't expecting much, just a few pennies here and there. Then, out of nowhere, the shop owner pulls out a box of old coins from the back. As I was digging through them, I found a coin that caught my eye. It wasn't anything special at first glance, but when I flipped it over and took a closer look, my heart skipped a beat. It was a 1989 coin with a minting error. I wasn't sure exactly what it was at the time, but I knew it had to be worth something. Fast forward to today, and that coin is sitting pretty in my collection, valued much higher than I ever expected. You never know what you're going to find, and sometimes it's the small, seemingly insignificant pieces that turn out to be worth a fortune, just like that 2015 P Saratoga quarter. So if you've got a coin collection or even just a jar of loose change lying around, you could be holding onto a gem worth more than you think. Alright, let's dive into the specifics of why these coins have skyrocketed in value. The 2015 P Saratoga quarter wasn't just produced in regular numbers. No, it was part of a limited edition series, and this particular minting run has proven to be exceptionally rare. But here's where it gets interesting. It's not just the coin itself that's valuable, it's the errors that can make it worth up to $1.60 million. Now, you might be thinking, how could a quarter possibly be worth $1.6 million? Let's take a closer look. Collectors are crazy about errors. The more unusual the error, the more valuable the coin. A 2015 P Saratoga quarter with a double die error, for example, could be worth a small fortune. Why? Because it's an anomaly, something that shouldn't have happened in the minting process but did. And collectors? They love rare things, especially when it's a mistake like this one. The rarest versions of this coin are fetching eye-popping prices at auction, and some lucky people are walking away with six figures, while others are living the dream with $1 million coin in their pockets. First, check for the P mint mark. If it's there, you're off to a good start. Like with all collectible coins, condition matters. If your coin is in mint condition, meaning it's almost as perfect as the day it was produced, it could be worth more than you ever imagined. The key to its value is the error. Whether it's a double die, an off-center strike, or another type of mistake, those errors are what make these quarters so valuable. The rarer the error, the higher the value. If you're lucky enough to find one of these, congratulations. But even if you don't toss out your other quarters just yet. There's always something hiding in plain sight, and you might just stumble upon your next big find. So, let's wrap this up. The 2015 P Saratoga $quarter coin might seem like a regular coin, but with the right minting errors, it's a rare treasure worth up to $1.6 million. Who knew a simple quarter could be worth so much? Whether you're an experienced coin collector or just starting out, it's crucial to know what to look for, and now you're armed with the knowledge to spot the next big thing. Go dig through your change jar, your wallet, or even your couch cushions. You never know, you might have a valuable coin sitting right in front of you. And if you don't find one today, don't get discouraged. The hunt is part of the fun. Before you go, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. I've got plenty more tips, tricks, and coin secrets to share with you. So, if you love learning about coins and want to stay up to date with the latest in coin collecting strategies, hit subscribe. Trust me, you'll want to see what's coming next. Hey there, coin enthusiasts. Let me ask you a question. Have you ever been digging through a pile of loose change, found a coin, and thought, this could be worth something? Well, let me tell you, sometimes, you're not just dreaming. A single coin, one that you might not even think twice about, could be sitting there, waiting to make you rich, and today, we're going to talk about one of those coins, the 2002 D Mississippi Quarter Dollar. Now, I know what you're thinking, a quarter? Really? But hear me out, because this isn't just any quarter. We're talking about a coin that's valued at a whopping $1.8 million. That's right, $1.8 million, that's the price of a pretty decent house or a new sports car, or heck, a really, really nice vacation for the next decade. So, sit back, relax, and let's dive into the fascinating world of this hidden treasure, the 2002 D Mississippi Quarter Dollar. And by the end of this video, you might just start looking at your spare change a little differently. Alright, let's get into the details here. The 2002 D Mississippi Quarter Dollar is part of the 50 State Quarters program, which was released between 1999 and 2008. If you're familiar with this series, you know that each state received its own unique design, representing some aspect of that state's culture, history, or landmarks. For Mississippi, the design features a magnolia tree, which is the state flower, with a banner reading, "The Magnolia State." But here's where it gets interesting. The Mississippi Quarter, like many of the coins from this series, was made in mass quantities. So why on earth would one of these coins be worth $1.8 million? Well, it's all about errors and rarities. Sometimes, a mint makes a mistake in the process, whether that's an error in the design, a defect in the coin structure, or even just a quirky misprint. And these errors make the coin much more valuable to collectors. The 2002 D Mississippi Quarter Dollar that's worth $1.8 million is extremely rare because of a specific error that occurred during the minting process. Some of the quarters were struck with a misaligned die. The result? A unique, visually striking coin that stands out from the rest, making it highly sought after by collectors. Now, I've had a few experiences in my life where I've come across coins that made me do a double take, but let me tell you a little personal story. It was a few years back. I was at a yard sale, one of those old school garage sales where people try to sell their kids' toys and outdated furniture. Not the most glamorous of places, but hey, you never know what treasures are hiding. I was going through a box of old coins when I came across a 1997 D quarter. Nothing special about it at first glance. But then I saw it, the tiniest little crack near the edge of the coin. It was a minting error that had gone unnoticed by most people. I'm not saying it was worth millions, but it was definitely worth more than I paid for the whole box. Finding that one piece, that one treasure, that can change everything. So, imagine stumbling across a 2002 D Mississippi Quarter in your collection, only to discover it's one of those rare misaligned die errors. You'd be looking at a major payday, my friend. Spotting these errors isn't as easy as it sounds. You have to know what you're looking for. The misaligned die on the 2002 D Mississippi Quarter causes the design to be off-center, meaning the image and text on the coin aren't aligned properly. This might sound subtle, but to collectors, it's a game changer. They want the coins that tell a unique story, and that off-center minting is a story in itself. So, how can you tell if you've got one of these rare quarters sitting in your pocket? First, you want to examine the coin under good lighting. Look for the design being shifted, it'll be noticeable, trust me. Then, check the edges of the coin. The misalignment can sometimes create a weird sort of gap or space between the design and the edge. If you spot these signs, you could be holding onto something pretty special. Now, if you find one of these bad boys, don't go running to the pawn shop just yet. You'll want to have it authenticated first. There are professional grading services, like PCGS or NGC, that can authenticate and grade your coin. The better the grade, the more valuable your coin becomes. And once that coin has been authenticated, you can list it on the market, where serious collectors will be more than willing to shell out big bucks for it. But, of course, it's not just about finding the coin. It's about knowing how to spot the right ones. That's where the strategy comes in. The 2002 D Mississippi $quarter with the misaligned die error is worth a cool $1.8 million. Crazy, right? I mean, who would have thought that such a small mistake could lead to such a big payday? But this is the magic of coin collecting. It's about knowing what to look for, and sometimes, a little bit of luck. That if you want to start hunting for coins like this, you've got to keep an eye out for errors, unique minting characteristics, and anything that just seems off. With the right knowledge and a bit of perseverance, you could find yourself sitting on a small fortune. Before I wrap this up, though, here's my call to action. If you love coins as much as I do, make sure to hit that subscribe button. I've got tons more tips and tricks coming your way on how to find, identify, and value coins worth big money. Don't miss out on this incredible journey of coin hunting. Subscribe now, and let's uncover some hidden treasures together.